Well, when Allison Shawley, do you know her? When she asked me several weeks ago to come and talk to you guys, I was very suspicious and dubious. I mean, what would a bunch of new media people want to hear from me, someone in a dead tree medium like a newspaper? But and I thought that maybe you would pelt me with rocks and garbage, and she said no, you won't. But she did say that I need to be interesting and I need to give you your money's worth. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. The two of us sat down and we kind of talked about RedEye and why it's been so successful, because unlike most newspapers, RedEye is still growing a lot in readership, revenue, and we're really poised to have a lot more growth in the near future and beyond. So, but we talked about the reason that RedEye really, I think, is successful is for the same reasons that any new product rises or falls. We saw an underserved audience. That audience had needs. We served those needs. We changed when the audience changed, and we seized every opportunity for growth. And so I'm here today to talk about RedEye, and hopefully that some of our successes you can apply to your own products or mediums, whatever you're working on. I just kind of wanted to tell you how it plays out day to day and what we've learned about this young audience, this mythical young audience that everybody's trying to capture. So just a little bit of history if you don't know much about RedEye. We launched in October of 2002, and it was a strategic move by Tribune Company to deal with the fact that readership was declining, especially readership among young people. So on the team of us who invented RedEye, we realized that we could try to change the Tribune, but we probably weren't ever going to be able to change it enough to super serve people in their 20s and 30s. So we proposed a quick read tabloid that would be free because, you know, every news source to our audience was already free, or most news sources. We knew it needed to be non-traditional because the traditional was already covered by hundreds of newspapers across the nation. And we really realized that we needed to put out a newspaper for people who don't like newspapers, which was really challenging, but really is what led us to do a lot of the things that we did, and I think it really contributed ultimately to our big success. We quickly, and this is something that obviously you know is crucial to any new product, we quickly defined our audience and set a mission, and that mission endures today, and that is to inform and entertain urban Chicagoans in their 20s and 30s who are time-pressed, socially active, and commute. And so we hit the streets in October 2002 with this cover, Open Your Eye, Chicago. And we were immediately, of course, called dumbed down, and a lot of people in the journalism establishment just thought it was the end of journalism as we knew it, and we were given basically 6 months to live. So what really happened? Well, I'm still standing here 6 years later. We found that the light newspaper readers of Chicago and the non-newspaper readers of Chicago really adopted RedEye pretty effortlessly. One kind of controversial thing in the early days was the Tribune Company did decide that they wanted to put a 25-cent cover price on the RedEye, even though we did not want to do that. What we did was basically give it out for free to about 85% of the circulation, and in the end, the Tribune did kind of reverse this decision, and we were allowed to go free, which unleashed incredible growth. So that was a really key learning for us about whether you should be paid or free. So at the end of 2005, we had to bump our circulation up to 150,000 from 100, and then a year later, we had to bump it up again because of demand. And so now we're at 200,000 every day, and we also then in 2007 had to launch a weekend edition that came out on Saturday. So you can see we've had a pretty quick growth. So about half of our audience is 18 to 34. People always want to know that, and we're happy with that. Half is good. We know a lot of people outside. We're happy to have those readers, but we've never changed our mission from serving just those readers, even though we know other people read us for whatever reason. So back to my original question, why would an electronic generation want a smudgy, old, inky newspaper to read on their way to work? Well, the key was we saw, again, that opportunity while people were stuck on the train with nothing to do. And having just finished up my 6-year tenure as editor of RedEye, I've really been reflecting on that a lot. And in hindsight, I realized that we did some really smart strategic things, some really shrewd things, but we also stumbled across a few things by accident. And I think that the reason we did really was because we had a laser focus on our audience. And that's the one thing that I would like you to take from this today and from our success, is that we've always been very, very focused on our audience, what the audience wants, what the audience needs, and that has really been the key to our success. We know who we are, and we're unapologetic about giving people what they want, and that can mean pop culture and celebrity coverage on the cover and inside, and that was kind of controversial at the beginning of RedEye. A lot of people thought newspapers shouldn't do that, but it was never controversial with our audience, and so we kind of ignored that criticism, and we kept doing this, and this has been a really key part of what's defined RedEye and why we're different from any other newspaper in Chicago. Again, we know who we are. We're a commuter paper, so we hit the CTA really, really hard. And we cover mass transit like most newspapers cover politics, and that's been really popular among our readers. We know that we have like 20 minutes, if we're lucky, while someone's trapped on a bus or train. So we really use, we use brevity and utility, and these kind of alternative storytelling techniques have been really something that I think that we've brought to the industry. We've really gotten really good at them. So for instance, sometimes we'll tell a story just as a map, or we'll tell a story just in a list, or something we call a charticle. And we mix those with traditional stories, and we found that that really appeals to this generation, which is very visual, as you know. And that's really important. We serve the socially active Chicagoan very well. We've actually teamed with Metromix.com, which was just a website when RedEye launched. We reverse published many of their listings in RedEye, and it was great for a lot of reasons. One, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We didn't have to create these huge databases. They already existed, and they were already great. It also helped us because when we launched RedEye, people knew what Metromix was. And so that really gave us a lot of credibility when we first launched. And what we gave to them is a lot of traffic, because every day it's like an advertisement for Metromix and RedEye every day, and 350,000 people read RedEye every day. So it's been a wonderful partnership, and as one of the learnings that we also had is that if you can team with an already known website, that can really help you get a good start. We serve underserved communities, so niches within the niches, like the geek community. There are a lot. We even started a column called Geek to Me, and it's really popular, and he focuses on, you know, video games and comic books, and we found that that's an audience that isn't served very often by newspapers, and so we've really worked that. The gay community is another community that newspapers, for some reason, traditionally shy away from. Mainstream papers do. So we've really served the gay community a lot, and we have a lot of readers from the gay community. Bold visuals are just key to this audience, this younger audience, and the millennial audience. It really helps cut through the competitive clutter. You know, you have to realize you're in a box of newspapers this wide, and you want something that throws out of the box. And in fact, when we're doing the cover every night at RedEye, we put it up on the wall, and we stand 6 feet back, and we are honest with ourselves about whether it sucks or not. And we also have a box in our newsroom, and we'll actually put it in the box and walk by and pretend we're just some, millennial walking by, and is this something they want to pick up? And that is really key, at least in print, to getting people to read your paper. And we found out at the very beginning when we did our research that what was on the cover was the main driver for why people picked up RedEye. And so we immediately put a ton of resources against it and spent an awful lot of time on the cover every night in relation to everything else. We know that we are not the only medium our readers read every day. And I think some newspapers still think they are. But we know that our readers, they might visit 20, 30, 40 news sites a day, and we're just one of them. So we don't even pretend to be a newspaper of record. And once we gave ourselves permission to not be a newspaper of record, it was very freeing. So we're very free to just put whatever on the cover we think would interest, entertain, or be relevant to our specific target audience, our slice of the market. And sometimes, and often, that means serving up the interesting over the important. So like today, we did in today's cover, or this cover, we had a potato chip tasting contest, and that was the cover. And I'm sure it knocked off something really important that day, but that's what we do at RedEye. And it's one of the reasons that we're something different. And so providing something different is so important when you already have a crowded marketplace like newspapers do. Personality. People want their newspaper to have some humor and some personality. They want all of their media to have that. And so we're very serious about accuracy and being truthful and being a news source that our readers can trust, but they really like funny headlines, they like humor where appropriate, and there's a lot of RedEye personality. We kind of make up our own vocabulary, we have our own cast of characters, and we aren't afraid to have some fun on the cover or inside, and you'll probably see that reflected mostly in our headlines, but also some of our characters inside. We probably have the only cartoon columnists in Chicago, I'm almost positive. So another thing that I wanted to tell you about, or that Allison thought you'd be really interested, is how we know what our readers want. We have done a lot of research, and I really think that's key if you're going to be trying to serve a niche audience. We have done extensive research with RedEye readers, with people who hate RedEye to find out why. We've done the really expensive kind of research. We've done the free kind of research. We've done online communities. We've done email surveys and traditional focus groups. And any time that we can actually get a reader in front of us, we just have a conversation about what they need, what we're not doing that they need more of, and what they like about what we do. So over the years, we've really gotten a good idea of what young people are looking for in a newspaper. And you can't follow everything they say, because one time, they'll say something here and 5 minutes later say something that completely contradicts it. But over the years, certain things rise to the top. And that's really what we have followed. And we've really been pretty serious about pouring that back into the pages of RedEye. So the research has really been worth the money for us. We also know that convenience is key to millennials. If it is not right where they want it, they're just not going to pick it up. For instance, we found that the paid versus free, it wasn't a matter of whether the paper was worth 25 cents, because that's not very much money. It was I got to stop, and I got a quarter, and I don't keep quarters in my pocket. And even if I have one, I have to stand in line. And we found that anything that was going to put 1 second of doubt in their mind about whether they had time to do it, we needed to erase. So we have hawkers at all of the high traffic L stops, because again, we serve the commuters. They hand out just a ton of papers, hundreds and hundreds of papers every day. We have boxes all over the city, the really distinctive eye. We are free at Starbucks, dorms, Jiffy Lubes, anywhere we can think of where you have a couple minutes to kill. And that's one thing that being free really helps, because you don't have to set up the money gathering infrastructure when you're free. So we definitely work that. Now, another key part of RedEye is we really are honest about our competitors. When we launched RedEye back 6 years ago, we thought, we are competing with iPods, and we're competing with other things on the train, and we're competing with just staring out the window. But as we got into this more, I realized we're really competing with everything, and that's something to really consider. We're competing with sleep, friends, movies, anything that someone can spend their time on. Our newspaper is competing with. And it's really given us, first you fight down the panic, and then you realize that you just have to be so interesting, and you just have to cut through the clutter so much that's really the challenge. So the big competitor that we see now on our horizon, obviously, is mobile. We know that now you can read a paper on the train if you don't have a RedEye. You can read it on your phone. And as more and more people get this, we need to address that. So instead of pretending it's not going to happen, which is what a lot of traditional media companies do, we decided we're going to embrace it. So we're just getting into this. This is only a couple months old, but we want to be seen as the newspaper that people associate with mobile ways to interact with us, and mobile ways to read us if you don't have a paper in your hand. So I appointed a mobile czar, and he was in charge of getting 6 or 7 of these in the paper every day and make sure that we relentlessly promoted our mobile. So we promote things like our mobile site itself, time wasters like polls in which you get instant results back, other time wasters like quizzes, like, what was the name of Mario Lopez's character on Saved by the Bell? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Things like that people really like. We do caption contests where readers get to write their own funny caption. We print it the next day, and they get their name in the paper, and it's a real big deal. And we also even do our job listings mobily, so that if your job sucks and you're on your way to it on a Monday morning, you can actually look for a new one on your phone. So mobile is something that we're really thinking about going forward. We also have a really popular daily text alert, a celebrity text alert. It has more than 1,000 subscribers, people who just want the headlines, celebrity headlines every weekday at 3. So that's also been successful. We've really used a lot of social networking to really increase our web traffic. So we used Facebook and Dig a lot, and we more than doubled our web traffic over like a month. The Tribune had some really great, interesting experiments on this, and so we took that over, and really just as a staff with no extra resources, through Dig almost alone, we've more than doubled our web traffic. And I know I haven't really given you a lot about I haven't given you anything about our website really because I'm running out of time, but if you want to look on your iPhone, it's RedEyeChicago.com. And one thing I will say about that is we know that you can't just have a website that just is your print product online. And our website is very separate. It has a really different audience. It has more of a national and global audience. And if you look at our site, you'll see that it has the same tone and maybe same sense of humor, but it's much different than what you see in print. So what we see is the future is that we're going to give people whatever they want, whenever they want it, and however they want it. And that might mean that, print gets less prominent. However it's going to work is how we're going to do it. We don't have any sacred cows here. And we want to keep a steady stream of new readers. So you might have heard about this. It's only 2 weeks old. It came out of the RedEye kitchens. It's called the MASH. It's like a RedEye for high schoolers, and it goes to all 130 Chicago public schools. It's circulated inside the school. It is about 100,000 circulation, and what's different about this is that the students themselves write most of it, and that is really addressing a need from the really young millennials, and that is they want to write what's in their paper, and they want to decide what their paper is going to be. So this customization and this need to have your personal imprint, even on your mass media product, is really important among younger people and something to keep in mind. As he mentioned, I'm the new managing editor of the Tribune, and I don't have any slides on that, but I can give you a little sneak peek, and that is that audience focus is going to be key to the reinvented Tribune that's going to relaunch in just a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. And thank you for not pelting me with garbage, and I hope I was worth the money. Thank you.